All right, let's give reaction now to what the Secretary of State did have to say today. A couple of veterans from the war in Afghanistan, former Army Special Operations Intelligence Analyst Brett Velikovich and former Green Beret, Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, so I want to play a little bit more about what Kevin played today. This is an exchange between Congressman Sherman and Secretary Blinken about what the Trump administration, Blinken says, left behind.
How meticulous was the planning for the Trump administration declared May 1st withdrawal?
Thank you, Congressman. We inherited a deadline. We did not inherit a plan.
Congressman, what do you make of that?
Well, I think we continue to hear just zero in terms of accountability, and we're not hearing anyone step up, especially for the families, the veterans, the Gold Star families, the victims of 9/11, and say, I made a mistake. This didn't go as well as it should. And in terms of pointing the finger at the Trump administration, look, three things there. One, there were conditions. We keep hearing that, but what were they? It was a public break of al-Qaeda, getting into serious negotiations with the Afghan government, and truly entering into a ceasefire and ceasing violence. They didn't do any of those things, and that's why President Trump left a residual 2,500 person force. But the other thing that's just so disingenuous, Shannon, is the Biden administration's had no problem tearing up Trump deals, from Paris to Remain in Mexico, to Israel, to Iran, to Keystone, to Nord Stream. But suddenly they're completely hamstrung about this. But I think the thing that was so disturbing was we didn't hear a plan for going forward. We didn't hear how are we going to get the remaining Americans out, which I think is much higher than 100. It's in the several hundreds. We didn't hear green card holders in the thousands, SIVs in the tens of thousands, a counterterrorism plan because we're rolling into a terrorist super state. And what we did hear was basically a shoulder shrug when asked, well, is the Taliban now the government of Afghanistan? And he replied with this kind of haphazard, well, they won a civil war. I guess they're the de facto government. And now we're seeing tens of millions of dollars of aid going in. And so essentially that's recognizing the Taliban and al-Qaeda as this terrorist super state that now has an army and air force and soon to be tens of millions, if not billions, in American taxpayer dollars. It is just mind-blowingly incompetent and outrageous.
Well, and the two of you served there, so this is a special, close to your heart issue, as it is for most Americans, especially after the tragic losses we've suffered just in the last few weeks. Now, there were a number of calls for resignation from the Secretary today. Doesn't seem like he has any intention of going along with that, but there are also calls for why haven't other people been fired or resigned. A piece in the Federalist says if junior officers had botched Afghanistan, they'd all be fired right now. Writer says because the Afghanistan withdrawal was planned and approved at the highest levels of government, there is no senior commander who can objectively review the operation and, if appropriate, hold accountable those who failed to anticipate the collapse of the Afghan government and the Afghan military. And Brett, of course, that also means the thousands left behind who are still at this moment waiting to be rescued.
Well, you're exactly right. And look, I want to thank you, Shannon, by the way, and the team for continuing your coverage on Afghanistan. Too many other outlets have started to forget about it and dropping it like it's yesterday's news, while every single day the humanitarian crisis worsens. We need to keep Afghanistan in the headlines and not forget the sacrifices that have been made over there and continue to this day. There are so many people and organizations downrange still working to get others out and fighting this fight every day while the administration turns their backs. They want this to go away so bad, but the crisis hasn't gotten better since U.S. forces left. It's only gotten worse. And I want to know when the resignations are going to start. When are the leaders like Blinken, who are involved with this botched withdrawal from the get-go, going to have the integrity to take responsibility for their actions? They owe it to the American people. And the administration continues to be so dishonest about what went on over there. And these career policy wonks like Blinken, who haven't truly fought down in the trenches, they're leading the charge to embarrass America on the world stage every single day. And it's going to take decades for America's reputation to recover from this. Biden refuses to hold any members of the leadership team accountable for the widespread consequences of the Afghanistan withdrawal, and it's just a disgrace. Lives have been lost. More people are dying every day. And I believe, frankly, America is seeing firsthand the very real and disastrous consequences of having people like Blinken in power at the senior levels of the U.S. government who haven't fought on the battlefield, who haven't fought in the trenches with our allies and understand what that means from a policy level. And they have no clue about the 21st century issues that we're going to face. I don't know how many times veterans like myself and Congressman Waltz have to say it. They botched this from the get-go, and the fact is Blinken has misled the American people on multiple occasions, and he should be held accountable for his role in the botched withdrawal of 13, that left 13 service members dead, Americans trapped in Afghanistan, U.S. military equipment in the hands of the Taliban, and our enemies now emboldened.
I want to play something he said back on June 7th.
Whatever happens in Afghanistan, if there is a significant deterioration in security, that could well happen. We've discussed this before. I don't think it's going to be something that happens from a Friday to a Monday.
So Americans still left to wonder how we so badly miscalculated that. He's back in the hot seat tomorrow. We will be watching that hearing. We know that both of you will as well. Thank you for your service, and thanks for your time tonight to both of you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
All
Shannon.
right. Thanks, Shannon.